Good morning to you. Welcome back to NBC Nightside. I'm Tonya Strong.
Good Friday morning to you. I'm Tom Donovan. Ahead in this half hour, the Hong Kong handover. Will China stay out of Hong Kong's political affairs as promised? We'll have that story later, but first the headlines.
Thank you, Tom. Well, it was a day of historic decisions for the Supreme Court on Thursday. The justices voted unanimously in support of a state's right to ban doctor-assisted suicide. The court also blocked a congressional attempt to ban pornography on the internet. The High Court said the government cannot limit adult material just to protect children. And President Clinton's veto pen became more powerful with approval of the line item veto. It gives the president the right to reject specific items in spending bills. Members of the House of Representatives passed a tax bill calling for the largest tax cut in 16 years. The Republican-backed measure approves $135 billion in tax breaks. Families, students, and investors will benefit most, but Democrats say the plan will only benefit the rich. President Clinton opposes the bill. The Senate is expected to consider a similar measure later today. A date is set for the trial of Oklahoma City bombing suspect Terry Nichols. His trial will begin on September 29th in Denver. He is accused of helping carry out the 1995 attack with Timothy McVeigh, who has already been convicted and sentenced to death. A female sergeant testifies today against the Army's top enlisted man. Sergeant Christine Fetro will tell her story of alleged sexual harassment involving Army Sergeant Major Gene McKinney. Fetro claims McKinney repeatedly called her and asked her to join him for drinks. McKinney is charged with 18 counts of sexual misconduct involving 4 women. McKinney claims the charges are racially motivated. The Army is conducting a hearing to determine whether he should be court-martialed. NASA officials and designers of Mir met this morning to work out plans to fix the damaged space station. Russia wants to send up another cargo craft in early July to begin repairs. NASA officials say American astronaut Michael Foale and his 2 Russian counterparts are still in a stable but serious situation.
Well, 2 big merger deals are topping this morning's business headlines. And for details, we head up to Fort Lee, New Jersey, and CNBC's Susie Gharib. Good Friday morning to you, Susie.
Same to you, Tom. It looks like a busy signal over at AT&T. The Wall Street Journal says that merger talks between AT&T and SBC Communications are unraveling, and one of the concerns might be that Washington might not approve the deal. Neither company ever confirmed that they were even talking, but if a merger did go through, it would have been a $50 billion deal, the biggest merger in American history. Well, we could get official word of another merger as early as today. CNBC has learned that Nations Bank is buying a privately held investment bank, Montgomery Securities of San Francisco. The price is about $1 billion. On Wall Street, they're still feeling edgy. Investors are nervous about what happens next week. Key economic reports are coming out, and there's also that important meeting of the Federal Reserve. The Dow is now at 7654, down another 35 points yesterday.
Where they are with the market at these levels, there seems to be little tolerance here for any surprises on the downside or any real risks coming into the market.
Billionaire Wayne Huizenga has the Midas touch in business, but maybe not the sports business. He's selling the Florida Marlins. He spent $200 million on the baseball team and $89 million on free agents to make the Marlins a contender this season, but he's been losing money, and he says he just doesn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. But it looks like there's big bucks in boxing. The rematch tomorrow night between Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield is expected to gross $130 million. This could make it one of the biggest sporting events ever. Most of the money is going to come from pay-per-view orders. They're going to range in cost from $50 to $75 a pop. But win or lose, Holyfield will make at least $35 million. That is the largest payout for any athlete or entertainer for a single event. Mike Tyson will take home at least $30 million. So, you know, Tom, it looks like they both come out on winners no matter what, at least when it comes to the pocketbook.
I guess they do, and in a big way. AT&T and SBC, what are the obstacles they're facing in those merger talks?
The main thing there, Tom, is getting approval from Washington government regulators. The whole idea years ago, if you remember, of breaking up AT&T and all of those baby bells was so that it wouldn't be monopolistic and consumers would have a choice. Now, if AT&T merges with SBC, the concern in Washington might be that it's anti-competitive. So that seems to be the main concern. But as we said, it was never confirmed that these 2 companies were talking. Now, we're getting news that those talks are unraveling. So a lot of speculation there.
Okay. Thank you, Susie. Susie Gharib at CNBC. It has been 6 months now since little Jonbenet Ramsey was found murdered in her home in Boulder, Colorado. Boulder authorities have made no arrests in the case, and some people predict there may never be one. Well, since the crime, the normally quiet city of Boulder has erupted into a city where speculation and gossip have taken over. NBC's Roger O'Neill now with more on how many residents say the murder of Jonbenet Ramsey has killed the atmosphere of their city.
Boulder has been living in a fishbowl for 6 months now. Through the curved glass, the image the nation has seen and heard is a city falling apart at the seams. Almost everything that happens in Boulder is either linked, related, or connected to the Jonbenet Ramsey case, whether it's real or not. Mayor Leslie Durgan is angered at what she considers the media's distortion of Boulder, even though she admits there is some fraying around the edges.
The anger is really because we have been so scrutinized, and I think in some cases really not only unfairly, but with some real questionable ethics. And that gets to you after a while when you see a community that we're very proud of, that we really love, being portrayed unfairly. The murder capital of the world, we had one murder.
Until the Ramsey murder on the morning after Christmas, Boulder was just a funky little college town. It was a little quirky around the edges, but had a strong entrepreneurial spirit. The concerns for citizens then was limiting growth and preserving the environment. In the ensuing months, however, with Boulder police unable to solve the case and make an arrest, the media, particularly the tabloids, but also national magazines and the networks, including NBC, have seized on other events which, without Ramsey, wouldn't have made national ink. There were springtime alcohol-driven riots by students from the university. The police reaction, which some termed overreaction, fueled accusations the department was out of control.
Actions taken by Chief Kobe during the recent riots.
In May, rank-and-file cops voted no confidence in their chief, Tom Kobe.
I make a motion that the City Council accept the resignation of Tim Honey as our city manager.
Then in June, city manager Tim Honey was unceremoniously fired. He had been the police chief's closest ally. And finally, adding insult to injury to the police woes, a computer in the so-called war room for the Ramsey investigation was allegedly broken into.
These have been difficult times for us in the city.
Bob Greenlee, a councilman and Boulder businessman, says after Ramsey there needs to be an investigation of the way police handled the Ramsey case. Now, there's just a lot of doubt.
We've had some things happen that we are not familiar with. They're sort of out of the ordinary and somewhat unusual for us. And so I think we're going through a self-examination and trying to figure out what needs to be changed and what needs to be corrected.
Still, most citizens say turn the spotlight somewhere else.
Nothing much happens here in the first place, and when it does, everything is exaggerated. And I know it's newsworthy, but I think we kind of feel like enough is enough.
Unless there's an arrest in the Ramsey case, the fishbowl Boulder's been in will likely continue. There are sharks in the water, and they smell blood. Roger O'Neill, NBC News, Boulder.
Jonbenet's parents are reportedly still considered suspects, but the couple maintain their innocence. They have moved out of their Boulder home and say they do not plan to return. Meantime, there is a rift between Boulder's investigating agencies. The Boulder District Attorney's Office says police took a month and a half to share DNA test results, and the police say someone hacked into the computer at the DA's office and may have copied files pertaining to the murder case.
Still ahead on NBC Nightside, two differing views of the handover of Hong Kong to Chinese rule.
That's just ahead, but first, a look back at this day in history. June 27, 1957, hundreds of people died when Hurricane Audrey ripped through coastal Louisiana and Texas. Here's how the devastating event was reported.
Hurricanes opened their alphabetical season as Audrey roared down on the Louisiana coast, making a shambles of towns in its path. 300 died, and property damage ran into millions. Thousands were forced from their homes. Dead were scattered over a wide area, and it was days before the toll was known. Caught unaware, the population was completely at Audrey's mercy.